Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures in 2024. New year, new models. Well, at least sort of kind of new. These guys actually came out a while ago, but today we're going to take a look at least new to me filming models from Bestiarum Miniatures, who are probably one of my top three, artists, Patreons, tribes, whatever you want to label it. But the types of models, the things they are making, just really are hitting a lot of the right notes for me lately. And just the last few months, and I've been like almost since day one following them, but that's a whole different story. I wanted to talk about a couple of different things. They have this set of modular raiders. These were the Bestiarum Marauders, I believe. And just weird, funky, heavily armored knights with interesting weapons. Looks like a pile of meat with bones stuck on a stick. And being, modular, they had all kinds of interesting armor. Very interesting. If you ever wanted to do a Berserk-style tabletop skirmish game, I think these guys, especially the armor sets that you've got here, are absolutely perfect for it. They're just weird, very chaosy, very dirty, and needs to be cleaned better, but I'm just, it's at like a 3.5 zoom here, so you can get a good close-up view. But yeah, these were all modular, guys. Everything was on a ball joint. You are welcome to mix and match to your heart's content. And there were quite a few parts. I personally like the guys with the cloaks. And then if you need somebody to lead all those guys, they had these really cool Black Oath champions. And it's just a very visually interesting model, I think. Very ornate armor. Whereas his weapons are a little bit more simple and ready to use. Plus, I just like those horns on him. And he's a bit taller than the other guys. Especially when he's standing up straight. You can see he's a good head or so taller than them. And if you're not in need of foot guys, there were also the Marauders, who I thought just these horses alone were just absolutely gorgeous in terms of details. See, he's got like that skull that it's wearing underneath the armor over his actual skin. They're just big, heavy war horses. Kind of hefty too, in terms of weight. They're not hollowed out or anything. And then the riders themselves were, oh no. Yeah. The riders themselves were just as detailed, and I really liked the helmets. I keep meaning to go back and see about putting some of the rider helmets on the foot guys, but you can see they have these quite obnoxious chains carrying skulls that I've now broken one off. I don't think I got a single one. Well, they all printed fine. I don't think I got a single one off of the print bed in absolutely one piece. If you like those guys, we have a bucking champion here. I'm going to be even more gentle with because I'm really looking forward to painting him. And I do not want to break it. Look at the helmet on this guy. Similar model, except why use one spear when you can use two, right? Again, looking at it more carefully now, I can see I have quite a few little supports around there that need to get removed, but you can still see on my old archaic printer, before we had 2K, 4K, mono, whatever, you could still see a lot of those details are quite apparent on that. If you're interested in sticking with Bestiarum, one of the loyalty rewards is this Death Knight here. I was expecting him to be a little bit bigger. I mean, he is pretty big. And in addition to all that craziness, there's always the hero models that Bestiarum releases as well. Again, I need to do a better job of pulling those supports off. That should give you an idea of just how big the Death Knight there is. Another of the lone heroes. They're always just in rags. Everything's all busted up and beaten up. It's fun stuff. And you know what's funny? That's not even what I wanted to talk about in this video. No, what I wanted to talk about in this video were some of the models that came from the Dark Denizens set. And they were just really, really funky. Like this guy right here. The Forbidden Fence. I've always had a soft spot for merchant type models. Figures with lots of clutter. And I mean, it looks like something out of like a Soulsborne style game. The weird feather hair stuff, the extra limbs, the mask, the clutter. And this was all one single piece too, which is even pretty impressive in and of itself, just with so much stuff going every which way. And I'm sure he would speak to you in some kind of weird riddle-y pattern. I'm not sure what he's holding there in his hands, but that's okay. Is it a beeblet? It just might be. I'm definitely going to have to paint that thing red. It's absolutely going to be a Berserk reference. But that's still not the model I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was this guy, Brizet the Caravaneer. Because I hadn't seen anybody really do anything with him yet. But the first thing I wanted to point out was his base. His base is actually two pieces. It's a huge oval, but I want to show you something because this is the first time that I've seen any of the 3D printing community, like especially with the bigger, you know, players out there, of which I would say Bestiarum is. But check it out. Instead of doing just a straight cut going down the middle, what they did was we put things at an angle so that it actually slides up close together, and you'll notice there's a lot less gaps that way. I don't know why we haven't seen this more often. I have such a hard time getting the multi-part bases from a lot of different companies straightened out and flat like this. So the fact that Bestiarum finally seems to have figured out that might be the better solution. I hope we see more of this going forward. I know with their new giant set, which I absolutely have to print, so just give me time and resin, because it ain't going to be cheap, and it is definitely not going to be quick having to print that sucker, but I'm absolutely determined to. I hope they do something similar with the bases, because that is a much better idea. I'd love to see that going forward. But here we have to check out our friend, the Caravaneer. So he is definitely a bizarre model. And when I saw this guy, I was like, oh my god, I gotta get this guy printed. I have not seen anybody paint him yet. So, I don't know, maybe I'll be the first. Who knows how long it's going to take me. I'm kind of putting this up here at the beginning of the year, so hopefully we'll see him before the end of the year. That's kind of my challenge. So I kept him in a few separate parts just because, as you can see, there is a lot going on here. I'll give you the 360. So yeah, his big, lardy front half is getting wheeled around, and then he has a multitude of, I don't know if they're legs or hands or something in between, helping him skitter around. Speaking of skitter, when I first saw this guy, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Worm series, but this was like, I thought of the character Crawler, the Slaughterhouse 9. When I saw this, I was like, yeah, that totally is what I had in mind. Now, this guy was a lot of different pieces, but thankfully everything, I mean, I don't know if you could tell where everything was cut. It's probably easier if I turn it over to show you, but it fits pretty smoothly, pretty seamlessly, and again, the details are just delightful. This is going to take a while to paint, I know that. His shopping cart here. Again, I've always had a soft spot, like I said, for merchant type models, especially when they have too much stuff with them. So this was just an absolute no-brainer, and I love the fact that this just kind of hangs off the side of the cart there. It's such a weird model. And there were even weirder ones that came in this set, but you know what? If you've followed Bestiarum stuff, I mean, you probably know this by now. I think if you ever wanted to have any kind of like really, truly epic dark fantasy stuff, if you wanted to have something along the lines of Morgborg, Forbidden Psalm, Last War, any of that stuff, I mean, you've got everything covered with their stuff. Obviously, these are older models, as I said. I just never got around to them. But one of the nice things is, if you haven't had a chance to pick them up while they are on one of the various sales going on, if you join their Patreon, their tribe, or any of those things on the subscription stuff, you obviously are going to get a discount too, so you can get it at a reasonable price, of which there are just far too many choices. But just a few of the ones I've shown today, because I really want to get started. I am determined this year we're going to see more finished. Oh, I even forgot this little guy. I got him primed up the other day with his eyes bulging out of his face and just a lovely sack of eggs and tentacles. And I used way too thick of primer, but that's a whole different story. We'll get him started soon. Anyway, if you need it, the link is down there below in the description, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy these just as much as I do in the future when I got them painted, which hopefully if you ever want to see, I'll try to post them on Instagram, or we'll put them up in one of those Monday weekly painting progress videos. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. And crap, I totally forgot what I would always said. I'm going to have to go back and check, because I forgot how I always ended these videos. We'll see you back here soon, right? That sounds good. Yeah, we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.